Hey guys, it's Gage with Sherpa. Today we're going to go over how to install our roof rack for the Subaru Forester. First step is removing this OEM roof rack. To do this, you're going to have to drop the headliner in the vehicle. We have a link in the description with a video describing how to do that, so check that out first before proceeding any further. Tools we're going to need to remove that OEM roof rack are a 10mm socket, extension, and then a ratchet. These roof racks are just held on by some nuts, so once you have the headliner dropped, there's going to be some mounting hardware here, here, and here. It varies a little bit between model year. Just make sure you remove all of them to get the roof rack off. Repeat those same steps and remove the bar on the other side. Alright guys, next is going to be prepping the roof for install. Some of the components you'll need are 2 of these smaller rubber feet, 2 of these medium-sized rubber feet, 2 longer rubber feet with 2 holes. Then you're going to need 8 of these aluminum spacers, and then we provide some roof plugs as well. There's going to be 4 of those, so collect those too. Some of these Foresters, this front hole will not be present, so disregard this step. But since this Forester does have this front hole, we're going to use one of the provided plugs. Shove it in there so no water gets in, because we will be using that mount. And then moving our way back, same story. Some of the Foresters will not have this front hole because we're going to be using this rear hole to mount, but since this one does, use another plug and then set it in there. Now get your rubber blocks set up by inserting these aluminum spacers into each of the holes. Starting from the front, grab your block with 2 holes and set them over the 2 holes on the roof, like so. Moving to the middle, grab the smallest block and then line it up over the hole in the middle of the roof. And then in the rear, grab your last block and line it up over the rear hole. We're going to repeat the same steps on the opposite side of the vehicle. Next up, we're going to assemble the mounting feet. So grab all the provided mounting feet in the hardware kit, and then we will need 3 crossbars. Hardware for these install, we're going to need 12 of each of these pieces of hardware. This is our silver hex bolt, 1/4-20, silver washers, and then T-nuts. All right, start with collecting 2 of the same mount. They're just going to be mirrored, and then we're going to grab a couple of these T-nuts and drop them in like so. Line those guys up. Then we'll take our bolts and washers. Then we're going to want to install those lightly. Make sure the holes on the bottom of the feet are pointing towards the outside of the crossbar. Start threading these guys. Get them tight and then back them off. We want these to be a little bit loose to help with adjustment later. Perfect. Alright guys, next up we're going to collect some hardware to install the mounts. You'll need to collect your 1 3/4 hex bolts, some bonded washers, and then some flange 9-lock nuts. If you're installing this on a 5th gen Forester, you will need 8 of these. If you're installing them on a 6th gen, you will need 10. Before we continue, grab your bonded washers and install them on these hex bolts. Make sure that the silver part is facing up. You're going to push those up until they're seated like so. Alright, we're going to work our way front to back on the vehicle. So grab your front mounting feet. These are going to have a little F designator on them. And then grab 4 of your assembled bolts and then 4 nuts. And then we'll go place this on the roof. These feet are going to have this little chamfer in the corner on all the brackets. That always needs to be facing towards the front of the vehicle. That's how you know it's aligned correctly. So when you have these on, line the bolts up, put the holes on the roof, go through the holes, and then grab the nuts, and then just partially thread these for now to secure them so it doesn't fall off. Work your way to the other side of the vehicle and do the same thing. Working our way back, we'll grab the middle mount. These feet are going to have a little M designator on them. And then for this one, just grab 2 bolts and 2 nuts. Line them like so. Remember, the little chamfer needs to be facing towards the front. Drop the bolt in, find that hole, and once it drops in, Go ahead and get the nuts started on this one as well. Then do the same thing on the opposite side. All right, we'll finish off with the last one. And this one's also going to use 2 bolts and 2 nuts. Okay, take your time on this mount. This one will want to rock forward. So while you're holding it down with one hand, come over the other side and get a nut started to stop it from falling into the roof. All right, next step is we're going to need to tighten all those mounts we just installed. To do that, we'll need a 7/16 wrench, a ratchet, and then a 7/16 socket, and we're going to use an extension for some of the holes. We want to tighten all of these until these little bonded washers start to compress, and then we know we're good because they're sealed. So that one's okay. We'll move on to the front one. These single mount feet, you're going to want to make sure that it's not going to tighten like this. So I'm going to hold my hand on the top when I start to get that guy fully tight, just so it doesn't twist. So now that I'm getting close, I'm going to correct it. Right there, and we'll start to tighten again. Right there. Perfect. And again, since this one's a single mount, line that up so that these 2 front planes are flush with the extrusion. And then once you're happy with that, try not to knock it out of alignment, and then tighten the rest of the way down. Okay guys, next steps, we need to center all of these crossbars. Since we kept these bottom bolts loose, we can slide these back and forth. So grab your 7/16 wrench and a tape measure, pick a spot on the mount, then we're going to measure from there to the outside. Pick a hole number, and then walk back and forth until that number's even, and then tighten the bottoms. Then we can go ahead and fully tighten these guys down. Let's get them nice and snug. Just work your way back and continue those steps for all 3 crossbars. All right, next step is to get the side plates mounted. So collect both of your side plates, then we're going to start on one side. And for that, you're going to need a cloth. If you're working by yourself, we're going to need 6 of these socket buttons per side, 6 washers, and then your 5/32 wrench. If you're working by yourself, we recommend putting a cloth down just to protect the paint when you rest it. Then start with one side panel. Just going to rest it there. And there's going to be 2-inch slots throughout the rack. Those are where you're going to be lining up the crossbars. So just pick one of the crossbars, get one of the socket buttons threaded, and then work your way back to the front. And then just partially thread it until we get all 6 installed. All right, this rack's going to have a little bit of adjustment forward and back. So we want to keep the line of the rack in line with the body of the roof. Usually it's going to be in the center, which ours is. So I'm going to tighten it right there and then tighten all 3 mounting locations. Now we're going to move on to the other side, grab the other fairing, 6 more socket buttons, and then again put that rag up to protect the paint. Next step is to get our front fairing assembled. So go ahead and grab one of the crossbars, grab your front fairing, and then we need to grab a couple pieces of hardware. It's going to be 6 of these T-nuts, 6 black washers, and then 6 of these socket buttons. These ones are only going to be 1/2 inch long. Okay guys, move the crossbar up so that it's aligned perfectly with the fairing. And then we're going to grab some of our T-nuts, work our way back from where the holes are, and try to align these with the holes best we can, kind of like so. I'll do the same in the middle, and then we'll do the same thing at the end. All right, once that's aligned, we'll go ahead and place our fairing on top of the crossbar, trying to align it with those T-nuts, and then get your socket buttons with washers. Start to get those guys threaded in the holes. And leave them loose for now. Okay, now that we got all those guys in there loose, we're going to align the side of the fairing perfectly flush with the side of the crossbar, just like that. And then grab your 5/32 Allen key and lock all of these in place. We're going to fully tighten all 6. Alright, for mounting this on the rack, we're going to need 4 of our 1-inch socket buttons, 4 black washers, and then since I'm doing this alone, I'm going to use a cloth again to protect the paint. Go ahead and now set the cloth down more on the inside so we can rest the fairing right there. We'll go ahead and rest it on that side, and we'll start to partially thread these ones. Again, leaving these both until we have the fairing aligned. Alright, I'm just going to make sure this guy's spaced a little bit off the top of the roof, and then I'll fully tighten these down. If you're experiencing any wind noise after this fairing is fully tight, just get off, adjust it up or down a little bit until the noise goes away. Alright, final step, we're going to collect the remaining 4 crossbars along with our 1/4-20 socket buttons. These are the 1-inch long ones. We can put these throughout the rack wherever we want, so we're going to go do that now. These racks are modular. We've got a lot of slots throughout, so we can place them wherever we want. We're just going to keep them for now evenly spaced. I'll put one here, here, and I'm going to put one right at the rear. Okay guys, final step is optional, but we provide these Sherpa nameplates. So grab the backer, the front black piece, and then we're going to grab 2 of each of these pieces of hardware. It's going to be our black washers, our shorter hex bolts, the black ones, and then 2 T-nuts. All right, install these by sliding in the 2 T-nuts. And then we will hold our nameplate in place, like so, and we'll go ahead and center this, and then we'll tighten that down fully. Alright guys, that wraps up the install process for the roof rack on the Subaru Forester. Next you're going to want to reinstall the headliner. To do that, link of the video in the description below. Just watch the steps in reverse, and then get the headliner reinstalled, then you're good to go. If you have any questions, give us a call or hit us up at sherpaec.com.